Hello everybody, I hope you guys are all enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at your potential Winter Storm Cade, which if this were to be named, it would be called Winter Storm Cade, and this is going to be progressing through parts of the Midwest and then moving through into the Great Lakes and parts of the interior Northeast and Northern New England area, where you could be seeing up to 6 inches and potentially some higher elevations exceeding 6 inches of snowfall. So we're going to go over the European model, and we're going to go over the GFS snowfall, as well as my personal hand-drawn forecast, which is going to be updated regularly, pretty much on a daily basis as we get more model data and as we get closer to this event. And we're going to be going over my forecast at the end of the video, so you make sure you do stay tuned all the way until the end. So here is the current National Weather Service. We have some winter weather advisories as well as some flood watches in effect for parts of western Washington state as well. We also have this big area right here of winter weather advisories. This is all from this winter storm, and that's providing winter weather advisories from anywhere from really easternmost Oklahoma into even northern Arkansas, all the way through Missouri, Illinois, and into Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, and even Minnesota, seeing some winter weather advisories there. But except for that, pretty much very quiet over much of the rest of the country. Now here is the surface map as of right now, and you see this is showing you where your high and low pressures are. You don't see a low pressure system, but your low pressure system is situated somewhere right around here. So you're seeing we have this warm front, and right attached with it would be a low pressure system, and you kind of see this ISO bar right here, which represents a measure of pressure, and this is sagging all the way south. So this is indicating that there is some sort of low pressure, a very weak low pressure right now, but that is going to intensify slightly as it continues to move northeastward. But that does this kind of this ISO bar kind of moving south does indicate that we do have a low pressure that's eventually going to cut off this this isobar most likely, and kind of form and move out into the northeastern part of the U.S. Now here is the current European model, and this is the latest run here, the afternoon run, and this is your simulated radar or your precipitation. Now, you see in these blues, you're seeing your snow. In these pinks, you're seeing your mixed or ice, and then you're seeing your rain in the green. So here's your system. You're currently ongoing. You're seeing some pretty good snowfall, some moderate snowfall, light to moderate snowfall, but it's over a very constricted area and a very small area. Now, as we continue this, you're starting to see this move in over the overnight hours tonight, going into Thursday morning. You're starting to see the snowfall become a little bit more kind of widespread here over parts of the Midwest and even into the Great Lakes. Now we have some heavier rainfall to the southeast and the south central United States, but that snow continues. Now it's light to moderate snowfall, but this is going to be an event that's going over 2 to 3 days over some of the same areas. So that's why it is going to accumulate very substantially over some of these areas. Now as we continue into Friday morning, you're seeing those heavier bands start to move closer to the low pressure system, and you're starting to see your next low pressure system form. So you have one low pressure system that's kind of right over here, and both of these are going to ride up this Gulf low pressure system is going to ride up the spine of the Appalachian Mountains, and this one's going to kind of move eastward, pretty much in a straight line that's kind of moving slightly, ever so slightly northward as it continues. Now, as these converge kind of over water, it might actually turn into a nor'easter, a very weak nor'easter. I don't think it's going to turn into a nor'easter. I think the possibility is there. It is going to go over water. It's going to come off the New Jersey shore and then go into parts of southern New England and kind of move off the shore of the Gulf of Maine there, and that's going to kind of potentially provide a nor'easter. Now it's a very slim chance that we actually do see a nor'easter, but the potential is definitely there. And as it moves over water, it is going to kind of weaken or intensify actually as it moves over water, and then it'll move out into Canada. Now here is your frame for Saturday morning. You're starting to see the snow still there, so this is going from really right now over some of these areas to all the way until Saturday. So it's a very long-lasting event. Now this is going to be a very elevation-dependent storm over the Northeast and parts of the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia and Virginia, those areas could see a good foot of snowfall in those isolated areas, but it's very elevation dependent. So we don't have an exact. It just depends. If you're 2,500 feet up, you're probably going to see a good dumping of snow. If you're a couple thousand feet lower, you might not see any snow. It might be all rain. Now, as we continue this, even into northern New England, you're seeing some mixing issues there as you get into Sunday morning. And now moving into Sunday afternoon, only the northernmost part of Maine is seeing any snowfall here. And then on the backside, some colder air, which is still very warm air, returns, and on the backside you're seeing a little bit of colder air, maybe some lake effect snow with that. Now here is your total snowfall out of this event. Now, in these blues, that's about 2 to 6 inches, and in the purples, you're seeing about 6 to 12 or 6 to 10 inches. So you see, we have this area of 2 to 6 inches according to the European model, and then little spots of purple that indicates over 6 inches of snowfall. So you see that dotted around the northeast, that's your higher elevation snow as well. You see that kind of over parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, Iowa. So it's very spotty, and it's not one, really, it's where these bands set up of snowfall over these multiple days that are going to depend how much snowfall you're going to get. And as you get into the northeast, it's really going to depend how high up are you. That's what's going to depend how much snowfall you actually receive out of this. Now, here is the GFS model. Now, you can kind of see it better on the GFS how elevation dependent it is, and some of these higher elevations maybe could see up to 1.5 feet, but I'm not going to forecast that right now. We are still fairly far out, but you see the GFS has a much weaker storm over the Midwest. This is why I showed the GFS, just to show that even though we are so close to this event over the Midwest, you still could see a lot of change there. And as well, over the Northeast, it pushes this a bit further south. Yesterday, the GFS was the northernmost model. Now it's kind of one of the in-between models and a bit further to the south. The European is now one of the more northern models. And I'm going to kind of agree with both the GFS and kind of put it, the GFS and the European, and kind of put it in the middle as you're going to see in my forecast, which we're going to look at right now. Now, this is going to include my storm track, my snowfall, as well as my rainfall here. So let's get right into it. This is going to be a storm, something that you should know. This is going to be going on from the 22nd through the 27th here over parts of the central and eastern United States. Now, here is your two storm tracks. You have that one that is going to form over parts of the Gulf of Mexico. That is going to be indicated by this lighter pink, and it's going to move up north, and then it's going to kind of convene with this a darker pink one, that this low pressure that's currently over northern Texas, like we looked at the surface analysis map, and that is going to pretty much move in the straight line, moving slightly northeastward, and then it's going to go off the shore where you could potentially see a nor'easter. But it would, even if it is a nor'easter, which there are low chances for it, it's going to be a very weak nor'easter at that. Now, we're going to add your first layer here of snowfall, and this is going to be your coating to an inch layer. So basically anywhere that's going to see under an inch of snowfall. Now, yesterday, I would have put this a bit further to the south by about about 50 miles or so, but now I've pushed this further north as we've had multiple models kind of move further north. Now, we still do have time for this to change, but definitely I think for the time being, I'm going to keep it further north and kind of see where the models go with this. So you see over the central United States, you have at least a coating to an inch over much of that area, and then moving into the northern Ohio Valley and into parts of the Appalachian Mountains and moving into parts of the Northeast, could see a little bit of snowfall as well. Now, here's your 1 to 3 inch area. This is moving from the central United States through parts of the Great Lakes and into parts of the Appalachians and more into the Northeast by this point. The interior Northeast is pretty much the only area for the Northeast that is seeing any snowfall out of this. Now, as we continue 3 to 6 inches, and you see this going from northern Michigan and into Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and through into Kansas, even into Missouri, and a little bit of Illinois and Indiana as well. You also have that for parts of Pennsylvania, New York, and into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Now, as we continue, that is going to wrap up your snowfall. Now, one thing I do want to note, a couple areas I could definitely see exceeding 6 inches here, and that would be over parts of the mountainous regions of the Northeast. And that's just something I really can't forecast, as it would take me very long, and also it kind of wouldn't work on the map style that I use, so it would be kind of difficult to fit that in. But just know, if you do live about 2,000, 3,000 feet up, you're definitely gonna be seeing a little bit more snow, maybe 6 to 12 plus inches of snowfall. So just keep that in mind if you do live in those areas. Now, here's your rainfall forecast for this event, and in this light green, which is basically anywhere east of eastern Texas and eastern Oklahoma, you're going to be seeing under an inch of rain. So basically any rainfall in this lightest green. And then you could have a little bit of higher totals here, especially up the spine of the Appalachians, the southern Appalachians, and into parts of even Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and through into Tennessee, Kentucky, and into West Virginia, and a little bit of southern Ohio. Could see 1 to 2 inches, more like 1 inch, maybe an inch and a quarter. Now, as we get into the South Central United States, you're also seeing that as you get that Gulf low pressure system that could dump a little bit more rainfall that you've already seen, as the system is pulling up moisture. So you're gonna get kind of hit by both of these systems if you live in the South Central United States, and that is gonna be in the form of rainfall, of course. Now, that is going to wrap up the video. Now, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.